Welcome to Things You Don't Know. Today, we're going to the lighter, more mundane side of things. You will have to judge how trivial the topic is after we trace the history and point out some co-occurrences. The topic is toothpaste and toothbrushes. This topic was selected when Dr. Deneen and I were talking about which of the many topics we have planned we should start finishing up next. He said one of his little interesting statements, this time about toothpaste. Let him tell you what he said. But as is often the case, his statement sparked my wild brain connections, and I said, we should do something a little less heavy, and why not toothpaste? We've done a few of these types of podcasts. After all, the title is not Serious Things You Don't Know, just things you don't know.
That's quite true, folks. We came up with the idea, as we do so many of our topics, based on an offhand remark that either Dr. Weaver or I will sometimes make. I was referring to a statement a friend of mine made of having the idea of remembering and writing down any group one is involved in. So as a joke, I said, I was the vice president of the Toothpaste Society. Sometimes I hesitate to say things around here, as we can find podcast topics about the most bizarre stuff. Toilet paper, popcorn, soft drinks, specifically lime Coke. Check those podcasts out if you haven't yet, folks.
Yeah, we do that, don't we? Since we started off with a quotable quote from Dr. Deneen, I will share a few other quotes about toothpaste. One, once the toothpaste is out of the tube, it's awfully hard to get it back in. That's been said by a bunch of different people. Another is, there's always a little more toothpaste in the tube. Think about it. Another one, I was so drunk, I thought a tube of toothpaste was astronaut food. That was said by Will Ferrell. Another one, when you live alone, you can be sure that the person who squeezed the toothpaste tube in the middle wasn't committing a hostile act. That was Ellen Goodman.
These are very funny and very accurate. One of my favorite writers, Fletcher Nybel, once defined an impossible task as being similar to using toothpaste on the mouth of a chicken. I have relatives who keep chickens. I don't think they would do that. Oh, who knows? Maybe they would. I know their chickens go to see Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. Well, to each their own.
Indeed. Toothpaste and toothbrushes have been around a long time. Native Americans had a form of toothpaste and toothbrushes, which may predate European usage. Native Americans made a paste of herbs, often like using things like tarragon and cocoa on brushes constructed of pine needles or coarse animal hair tied to sticks or twigs.
I'm going to give you a little history about toothpaste here, folks. It begins in 5000 BC. The ancient Egyptians invented some of the first toothpastes, but these were powders made from some unappetizing stuff: ox hoof ashes, crushed rock salt, pepper, dried iris flowers, burnt eggshells, and one thing still used today, mint. In 1766 BC, the ancient Chinese used abrasive materials for toothpaste, which they flavored with salt, ginseng, and herbal mints. The ancient Romans, this is awful, used a urine-based toothpaste, I am not kidding here, folks, made from crushed bones, oyster shells, charcoal, and bark. In the late 1700s AD, the first popular tooth powder was made from burnt rye bread. I'm just going to give you a little historical fact here, folks. British General Sir John Burgoyne, the last thing he did before surrendering to the Americans, he brushed his teeth with that paste before he surrendered to American General Horatio Gates after having lost the Battle of Saratoga, a major turning point in the American Revolution in 1777. If you want an African American viewpoint and an interesting take on our revolution from both sides, check out our two-part Caesar Drake podcast and our podcast by Harry Washington. By the 1800s, betel nut was a common ingredient used in toothpaste in England. In 1824, a dentist named Dr. Ezra Peabody enhanced the cleaning abilities of toothpaste by adding soap to it. Yuck! By the 1850s, chalk was added to toothpaste as an abrasive. It was also during this era that toothpaste was sold as a cream in jars for the very first time. By 1873, Colgate would be the first commercial producer of a very nice smelling mint toothpaste in a jar. In 1892, Dr. Washington Sheffield, the famous Philadelphia dentist, became one of the first people to put toothpaste in a collapsible tube. By 1914, companies start to add the fluoride mineral to toothpaste after studies showed how it strengthened teeth against decay. In 1952, the first non-white colored toothpaste comes into existence with the creation of blue-colored toothpaste AIM. In 1988, Crest designs chewable brushes for people with exceptionalities who often have limited hand movements. They are often also used in prison to prevent inmates from using toothbrushes as shanks and other weapons.
Wow, that is quite amazing. I think I would leave the urine-based toothpaste alone. I am not so sure I would want to use highly abrasive material on my teeth either. I do remember the whole thing about using fluoride as an additive, including in toothpaste, being talked about a great deal in the 60s at least, and apparently continues to this day in some circles, particularly those who espoused various conspiracy theories. Just to be clear, too much fluoride can be toxic. What it causes is spots on the teeth. But it would take a lot of fluoride, unless you were an infant, to get to those levels. We do know that fluoride strengthens teeth by increasing their enamel and also bones.
I remember the concerns of the right-wing general played by Sterling Hayden in the famous satirical comedy Dr. Strangeglove about what he called the communist plot to sap our vital fluids through fluoridation. There are many benefits to regular toothbrushing and flossing. Good oral hygiene provides more social comfort, giving people fresh breath and a bright smile, of course. But taking care of your teeth can also save money on expensive fillings and dentures and other dental work, not to mention avoiding the pain that often accompanies tooth decay. I know many of the older epilepsy medications like Dilantin could cause tooth and gum damage. That was a very unfortunate side effect.
You know, yeah, I was aware of all those benefits, but there are some other benefits that are not so apparent. One, reduced risk for heart attack. Why? Well, unfortunately, bacteria doesn't always stay in your mouth. Instead, it can spread throughout your entire body in your bloodstream. When this occurs, it can travel to your heart and cause delicate arteries to narrow, which can put you at risk for heart attack. In fact, gum disease can increase your risk for heart attack by nearly 50%, according to the American College of Cardiology. Healthier lungs Okay, your bloodstream isn't the only way bacteria can go from your mouth to the rest of your body. You can also inhale it from your mouth to your lungs. This can lead to respiratory infections such as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and pneumonia, two of the leading causes of death in the United States. Also, lowers the chances of diabetes when you brush. Okay, type 2 diabetes, we're talking about here, it's a potentially dangerous blood sugar disorder that can cause disability and even early death. It develops when the sugar in your blood remains too high, either because your body doesn't produce enough insulin or because your body can't use it properly. This hormone helps your body to use blood sugar for energy. Studies have revealed that people with gum disease are up to 50% more likely to develop type 2 diabetes than are those with healthy gums. But why this connection? Gum disease causes inflammation, making it harder for your body to use insulin properly. This condition is known as insulin resistance. Now, the other thing that has to do with diabetes and digestion and that all that sort of thing, if your teeth are not in good shape, it is very difficult to masticate. No, I'm not talking about masturbation, I'm talking about chewing food. If you can't chew it up, it stays in your gut longer and is more difficult to be used by your body. Another thing, decreased cancer risk. Okay, gum disease can also contribute to certain types of cancer, especially pancreatic cancer. Researchers don't fully understand the connection yet, but some have suggested that bacteria may boost the growth of cancer cells. There may be links to other kinds of cancer too. These risks can increase significantly, especially if you have gum disease and also use tobacco. Decreased chance of infertility. If you're a woman, your oral health can actually impact your ability to become pregnant. Please, ladies, don't use this as birth control. It's not that effective. In fact, one study found that women with gum disease took 2 months longer to get pregnant than those without it. And men aren't free from the risks either. Gum disease and tooth decay can lead to poor semen and sperm health. Safer pregnancy. Well, the dangers your oral health pose to fertility don't stop with conception. It can affect your pregnancy too. Studies show a connection between poor oral health and two serious pregnancy complications. One, low birth rate, like weighing in at less than 5 pounds, 8 ounces, and preterm birth before 37 weeks of pregnancy. Generally speaking, babies are more likely to thrive when delivered full term and at a healthy birth weight. Another thing toothbrushing can affect is when you're trying to lose weight. So if you've been looking for extra help losing weight, try improving your oral hygiene. Maintaining a healthy weight is a key aspect of good overall health and can reduce your risk of developing severe complications such as high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, cancer. Brushing your teeth not only helps signal that you're finished eating, but having a fresh and minty mouth can keep you from overindulging in desserts and late night snacks.
Well, I can't speak for others, but I know sometimes there's a temptation to snack out of boredom. So having something to do with your hands, whether holding the toothbrush, drinking some water, or afterwards, in my case, holding a book may limit the midnight munchies.
Yeah. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this brief excursion into toothpaste and toothbrushes. I would like to do a little informal survey on a couple of things and would appreciate your participation. Just answer these few questions. One, when you squeeze the tube, do you squeeze from the bottom or just wherever? Two, do you roll the tube up as you use it? And three, do you use a manual or electric brush? Please give us a like, subscribe, and make comments. More importantly, join us again for future podcasts. We got some good things coming up. Thanks for tuning in today.
Well, to satisfy the curiosity of our listening audience, I do squeeze from the bottom with great agility, to quote John Adams. I roll up the tube as I use it like a Byzantine courier, rolling up decrees, and I use a manual brush because they are less noisy and easier for my somewhat spastic hands to hold. I really want to thank you all for listening. We've had some wonderful topics, and there are a lot more coming. So please stay tuned for our next adventure, folks.